Within the ship's CIC, the Combat Information Center, certainty drives every critical decision. Within 20 seconds, watchstanders confirm the signature, revealing a small, low-profile, high-speed vessel hugging the wave tops. A textbook go fast, the kind cartels favor when attempting to outrun nations. There's no call sign, no flag, no response to naval hails. Then the second sign, movement on the ship's forward flare feed, black specks flick off the boat's stern. Packets, lots of them. That's not fuel. That's evidence being dumped on the bridge. Commander Matthew Harding doesn't hesitate. He doesn't need a judge or headline. He needs propulsion and air support. All stations set condition 3. Launch Romeo. Within 90 seconds, an MH-60R Seahawk from HSM-49, call sign Reaper 1. Blades up from the flight deck. Banks southeast, closing fast below. This suspect vessel keeps pushing maximum throttle, cutting white arcs into blue water. It's trying to vanish into the horizon, but there's just one problem. This destroyer wasn't here by accident. USS Samson is deep into Pacific Watch, a high-priority maritime interdiction operation, targeting long-range drug corridors. Today, the U.S. Navy is about to intercept $58 million worth of narcotics in real time, and the suspects, well, they have no idea what's coming. Reaper 1 surges forward at 120 knots, skimming just 200 feet above surface. The MH-60R isn't armed for bluffing. On board are door gunners, tracking pods, and a Coast Guard law enforcement detachment, or Ledet 104 from the Southwest District. They've trained for this moment 100 times. Today it's live. As the helicopter closes to visual range, the go-fast boat makes its next move. Sudden zigzag turn, followed by a full throttle burst westward. It's pushing every horsepower it has, but the rotor blade roar behind is gaining. The crew starts tossing more cargo fast, frantic and sloppy. One package misses, explodes on impact with the hull. The water flashes white. That's not good for them. Reaper 1's flare system locks on. Below, the suspects finally look up. No radio, no response, no slowing down. The decision point has passed. Warning shots authorized. The Seahawk banks hard left. Door gunner swings out a burst of fire, streaks 10 meters off the starboard bow of the boat. The message is crystal clear. Stop now or things escalate. It doesn't work. Suspect vessels still fleeing, still dumping cargo. From the CIC on the Samson, Commander Harding makes the call. Disabling fire, disable that engine. Seconds later, the Seahawk swims back in. This time the rounds don't miss. With clinical precision, the gunner strafes the stern. The rounds plunge into the outboard motors. One sparks, then dies. The vessel jerks violently. Slowing as smoke rises. It's not sunk, but it's done. Now drifting in the open sea, the suspects look up again, this time with their hands raised in the air. But the Navy's not finished yet. Reaper 1 hovers overhead as two ribs scream off the port side of the USS Samson. Onboard VBSS teams visit board, search and seizure, full tactical kit armed, trained in moving fast. Within 4 minutes, they'll be on target. And by then, this stop won't just be about contraband. It'll be about arrests, recovery, and legality. Because what happens next doesn't just involve speed, it involves the letter of the law, and how a warship hands off authority to a domestic law enforcement arm while still at sea. And that moment is coming pretty fast. The two ribs close in fast, white wakes tearing across the ocean. Within moments, the Coast Guard, LEDA, and VBS teams from the USS Samson reached the disabled, rifles up, commands shouted in Spanish and English. No resistance. The suspects comply, 2 men, mid-30s sunburned, adrenaline still visible in their eyes. Kneel on the slick fiberglass deck, hands behind heads, eyes fixed on the Seahawks circling above. They're not armed, but what's in the water around them is far more dangerous. Over a dozen tightly wrapped bales float nearby. Some half submerged, others already waterlogged. Each one tagged and logged by the boarding team. The leader steps forward. As soon as the suspects are secured, the legal handoff happens. Under international maritime law, a vessel without a flag or registration is considered stateless. That means it can be boarded and searched under U.S. jurisdiction. And because this go-fast made no claim of nationality and ignored all warnings, the Coast Guard takes full authority. Field test kits are opened, a sample is cut from one of the soaked bricks. White powder. The team sergeant places the sample on the test strip. Within seconds, bright blue, cocaine confirmed. The total haul, 47 bales, approximately 3,439 pounds, 1,560 kilograms, estimated wholesale value, $58 million. Street value easily triple that, depending on the route. The suspects are cuffed, read their rights, under U.S. maritime drug enforcement protocols. They say nothing. The boarding team also assesses the go-fast's condition. No lights, damaged engines, cracked fiberglass hull, no radio, no life jackets, no way to tow. It's not seaworthy, it's a floating liability. One agent radios back to Samson. Vessel secured 2 detainees, cocaine confirmed, though classified as a navigational hazard. The job isn't done. This wasn't just about stopping the boat. It's about what happens next. And that means that the Samson is about to play a very different role, a strategy that prioritizes destruction over capture. The U.S. Samson operates deliberately in the Eastern Pacific. Her positioning reveals strategic intent. Operating within Pacific Watch, a coordinated maritime security operation commanded by U.S. Northern Command, working alongside Homeland Security and U.S. Coast Guard, Pacific Area Command. The objective involves stopping transnational criminal threats before they penetrate U.S. shores, requiring constant surveillance of high-traffic smuggling corridors between Central America and the southern United States. Positioning the vessel precisely today, 380 miles southwest of Acapulco. Intercepting a stateless vessel with a warship requires tactical precision and legal authorization. While the Navy commands the reach, the firepower, and the mobility to locate and intercept targets, it lacks legal authority to arrest suspects or confiscate contraband independently, requiring the Coast Guard LEDET team's expertise. A law enforcement detachment represents a specialized, tactical team of U.S. Coast Guard agents integrated aboard U.S. Navy ships. When a suspect vessel confirms stateless status and contains illicit cargo, operational command transfers seamlessly from the Navy's combat commander, specifically U.S. 3rd Fleet, to the Coast Guard chain under District 11 in California, representing a calculated but essential handover, transforming the mission from combat readiness to law enforcement precision. For the crew of the Samson, the operation remains standard yet critical. This destroyer DDG-102 operates as an Arleigh-Burke-class guided missile ship, typically assigned to ballistic missile defense or anti-submarine warfare. However, in multi-mission theaters like Pacific Watch, it adapts. Radar systems shift from threat detection to smuggler tracking, while Tomahawk launchers remain inactive, as RIBs assume primary roles. This integrated model Navy force, Coast Guard Authority, establishes the benchmark for maritime interdiction. And in this operation, it secured $58 million worth of illegal cargo without causing any injuries. However, one challenge persists: the go-fast boat itself. Structurally compromised, unstable, and contaminated with fiberglass shards and engine oil, making towing to shore impractical, necessitating controlled destruction instead. By 09:45 hours, the mission transitioned from seizure to disposal. The go-fast boat drifts silently alongside the Samson's port side, secured by a single recovery line. Yet even stationary, it poses risks. The fiberglass hull shows extensive cracks along the keel. Its motors are destroyed. There's no anchor, no lights, no operational bilge pump, and no secure method to tow it across 380 miles of open ocean. Fundamentally, it represents a hazard. One powerful swell transforms it into a drifting threat, capable of damaging a freighter or disabling a fishing trawler's propeller. The Coast Guard officer aboard confirms the assessment. Vessel deemed unseaworthy, recommended controlled disposal. Commander Harding acknowledges log it, prepare for scuttling. The USS Samson carries demolition charges strategically. Though experience guides this operation, her crew understands procedure. The boarding team salvages the vessel of anything, remaining valuable empty fuel cans, GPS mounts, and even the throttle lever. Every recovered kilo of cocaine sits properly sealed, tagged, and refrigerated in the evidence freezer. The two suspects remain in the Samson's holding bay, silent, while the crew initiates a controlled sink. One of the REPs approaches, this time delivering a portable charge rig to the boat's stern, designed not to create an explosion, just several small holes low and accurate. At 10:12 hours, a brief call echoes from the bridge. Detonate on my mark work. A subdued pop, nothing theatrical, no fireball, just a gurgle. The sea returns to stillness, except for the steady hum of the Seahawk still overhead. The approach proves methodical, not dramatic. Because when the Navy destroys a drug boat, the focus remains threat elimination, not spectacle. Clearing the ocean and delivering the message. Operating drug routes in international waters costs more than just cargo. This operation demonstrated more than interdiction, it established precedent. What unfolded in the Eastern Pacific on July 10th exemplifies how the U.S. projects power without launching missiles or violating borders. A warship, a helicopter, a boarding team, and a legal handoff, all executed with precise coordination. However, the broader objective involves deterrence. Cartel logistics depend on calculated risk. Every go-fast boat that completes its run generates millions in profit. But every vessel that faces capture, especially by a destroyer, signals to the rest no route is safe. No distance proves sufficient. No engine runs fast enough. This seizure, 380 miles offshore, communicates a message that's unambiguous, demonstrating the U.S. isn't just protecting its coastline. It's controlling the battlefield far beyond it. And then there's the ship. The USS Samson, a guided missile destroyer, engineered to fight submarines and intercept missiles, now interdicting drug runners. That adaptability proves intentional. The Navy's multi-mission doctrine enables these ships to transition roles in literal hours. One day, conducting ballistic missile defense in the Sea of Japan. The next day, pursuing go-fasts in the Pacific narcotics corridor. The significance transcends what the Samson accomplished, extending to what she represents: presence, reach, and pressure. Every cartel scout monitoring U.S. ship movements just acquired critical intelligence. Even a warship with billion-dollar sensors might appear in your operational space, and she won't be bluffing. because when the U.S. Navy responds, it doesn't chase, it intercepts. No missiles fired, no lives lost, just a Navy destroyer, a Coast Guard team, and $58 million worth of narcotics now eliminated. But here's the strategic question. If you commanded the USS Samson, and that go-fast boat refused to stop, what would you have authorized disabling fire sooner? Block with the RHI, BS, or let the evidence sink and hope for the best?